See, now this is just color code white genetic survival. Because the more genetic power you have, your skin is crystal black. A next lesser level of melanin production, so-called brown, slide red in there, and yellow. White is none at all. And so it stands to reason, if the system is about white genetic survival, dark has to be out. And I told the white people, I said, you know, maybe we owe you all an apology. We black people. To me, we are the parents of everybody, including white people. All we have to do is have a mutation to albinism, and that's white. How many people are reading the articles that are coming out of Africa about how black people are treating the albino mutants? So here's the huge continent of Africa. Here's the Mediterranean. Here's these little tiny countries of Europe. Human life began right in this area. Crystal black people. For some reason, some albino mutants were produced, and we chased them out. So the albino mutants were pushed out, and directly north of Africa is what? And thousands of years, they collected, formed a big group. They came back home and got the mothers and fathers who rejected and took them west to America.
Albinism occurs in every ethnic group on the earth. An African albino looks different from a white albino, looks different from an Asian albino, so on and so forth. It is not a precursor for a particular ethnic group. Her theory is that the Africans drove out all people with albinism to Europe, and they kept doing it until thousands of them wound up in Europe, and they became white. Really? My DNA still contains the same information as any other African or African American. My DNA, my offspring will still have the genetic makeup. I don't begin a new ethnic group or another ethnic group. I continue the lineage that is Africa, that is African, that is African American. That's what I do. My children, African American. This ideology is poisonous and it's dangerous. People, because of this kind of thinking, are being slaughtered, are being butchered. Witch doctors are telling people, oh, people with albinism, their bones bring good luck, or their hair or their skin, whatnot, brings good luck, and people are being slaughtered. People love having their little ideologies, baseless ideologies, and they don't take any regard of the consequences. And this is a popular theory even in African American communities today. So this idea of solidarity, this idea of community, this is the antithesis of that. This is division, this is divisive, this is fragmentation. To misuse the Bible in support of this ideology. You know, white people use the Bible too to talk about white supremacy. This is no different. Oh, the crystal black ideal and the white supremacy and the Aryans. See, both groups use the Bible, but neither group wants to look at that portion of the Bible that talks about how people from all nations will be in heaven. People from all nations. No, they want to make it about their nation and their nation only. And their nation is special at the sacrifice of others. The Bible says, judge not according to appearance, but rather judge righteous judgment. But we pick and choose, don't we? People with albinism are still being born in Africa. I have albinism. I'm 89% African. Maury said that I am not white. So your theory is wrong on so many levels. But the one thing that you did not tend to mention, because it's easy to look at the lack of melanin, because we tend to go by appearances, you forgot to mention that people with albinism are visually impaired. So to navigate on ships to go back to Africa and then take the Africans all the way across America, visually impaired, where'd their visual impairment go to? Also, people with albinism are prone to skin cancer, especially in Africa. So when an African child is born who has albinism, that child will be killed or abandoned and left for dead, typically, or they will be shunned by their community. But so they were put on boats. You didn't think about the fact that you mentioned the massacre and the brutal, horrific things that people are experiencing who have albinism in Africa. But your response is, we should apologize to white people. This is no different than Adolf Hitler. So for this lady to look at the mistreatment of Africans and put the blame on people with albinism, that's the solution. I challenge anyone, give me one person with albinism anywhere in history, not white, but someone with albinism, vision impaired and all, who oppressed people. I think you have a hard time finding that. I think that you would more than likely find people with albinism being oppressed. And we still do that. We still do that to this day.